Hello, this is Cyrus from Cyrus Gaming Spot, and welcome to a video where we talk about Silent Hill 1 and 3. With me today, I got a Swordfish 3090 and Daniel Santos. How are you guys' evening so far?
Having a good night so far. Always glad to be back on.
I just finished eating a burrito, so I'm primed for some Silent Hill, of course.
So last year we did a video on Silent Hill 2, and it was interesting since we did Silent Hill 2 last year. Well, discussing it, I thought it'd be neat if we did a video on Silent Hill 1 and 3 this year, especially since I beat Silent Hill 1 Friday and then Silent Hill 3 on Saturday night.
Crushed it.
Yeah, unlike the other games in the series, like 1 and 3 are directly linked to each other.
Yeah,
so it makes sense.
I've heard it was linked. I didn't know how it was linked. I just heard that you should play Silent Hill 1 before you go to 3, or at least it's recommended you to do so.
Yeah, I wouldn't say you have to, but yeah, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely recommended.
You'll get more out of it for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I played for Silent Hill 1 and 3, and those are really interesting games that you expect from a Silent Hill game, but you know. So
Are you gonna plan on playing 4 at some point?
Maybe. I've heard 4 is more mixed, especially
I think
with
4
how
is still worth playing.
yeah
It's a very interesting experience.
especially how you have like it's kind of like an escort mission at points. I've heard.
The second half of the
Yeah.
game becomes an escort
Yeah.
mission. Yeah,
And
it's not
yeah,
as it sounds because your escort cannot die.
but I've heard their health determines what ending you get. So
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's like a kind of a
Yeah,
frustrating part.
but I mean, you could just look up the endings after the
yeah,
fact,
okay.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna replay the game 4
Yeah.
times to get every ending, are you?
No, okay. Silent Hill 1, the beginning of the series.
Yes.
Yes. And honestly, I was expecting much more jank from Silent Hill 1 than I got. And I didn't have too much jank from playing it.
Honestly, the game holds up so much better
Mhm.
than I expect. Because I replayed it, I want to say like last
Mhm.
year, and I was shocked by how well it still plays. I was like, it's still really solid.
I actually
Yeah, the
think-
controls were
yeah.
way better than I thought they were going to be in
I
like
actually think Silent Hill
2024.
1 might be a bit scarier than Silent Hill 2. Playing through it.
I think I
I can
agree.
see that.
Yeah.
I think I agree, honestly.
You know what's the first thing I noticed while booting up Silent Hill 1?
What?
What's that?
Harry has a backstep that no other protagonist I've played so far has. Like you can backstep as him for some strange
He
reason.
doesn't even just backstep. He can
Yeah.
do like a back jump.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ballerina.
really.
Back jumps.
That's the same I asked so many times too. I'm like, why did like the other ones not have this? I think 4 had it, I believe, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that was a
It's useful in one, yeah.
Yeah, I played for Harry, James, Heather don't have a backstep. But
But
Harry
she does have a
does.
parry.
Harry does. James and Heather does it. So. Yeah,
But she
there you
does
go.
have a parry. She's the only one that does.
got to give her credit where it's due. She might not have a back step, or a back jump, but she does have a parry.
Does she have a parry? I thought she has a block.
Yeah, it's
Sort of
more
like
of a block.
Yeah.
But like,
Okay.
but you have to time it right, so it's like a
Okay.
parry.
Okay. Yeah.
Like it's not like a sustained block.
Mm-hmm. Silent Hill 1 and 3, I think, has much more different than 2, just because, like, 1 and 3 revolves basically around the cult of Silent Hill, which is,
Yeah.
I think, called The Order, if I remember right.
The Order, yeah.
Yeah, The Order.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's some contention about the
Mhm.
original Japanese. I think they were just referred to as like the cult,
Oh,
but I guess in English they decided to call them the Order.
yeah.
I don't know, kind of
Mhm.
weird.
Did you guys play Silent Hill 1 before 2, or is like you played it afterwards?
I played Silent Hill 1 first.
Oh, okay. That's
when I got older, I mean, I owned copies of Silent Hill 2 and 3, but I didn't play them until I got a little older. Silent Hill 3 was when I started with, like, when I started playing them seriously, and then I played 2 afterwards. So I played them backwards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, interestingly, I have an uncle, and growing up, he would always get horror games, shooters, like, those were his 2 main genres, like horror and anything with a gun. And he got every like Silent Hill game as they came out. So I basically grew up playing the games like in the proper order.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Nice.
So like Silent Hill 1, it starts with Harry driving his daughter Cheryl I think, I'm not sure where they're going. They're going somewhere for a vacation. They're going through Silent Hill. And then,
no. They were going specifically to Silent
Hill. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason is because Harry's wife passed away, and he was bummed out.
Yeah.
And around that time, that was when, because Cheryl is basically the other half of Alessa.
Yeah. She's being called to this place by...
Right, and Alessa was like calling her other half, basically, to come back to Silent Hill. So that's when Cheryl was like, let's go to Silent Hill for vacation. And Harry was like, well, I'm bummed out about my dead wife, like that other guy. So why not? Let's go.
Go for Silent Hill. He gets to crash because he sees someone in the road, and then he veers off.
Yeah, he sees Alessa.
Yeah. And then you basically start the game there. Just like going through the fog-filled town of Silent Hill, trying to find Cheryl.
So something that I think is super interesting about how the game starts is like you have like the car crash, and then Harry walks out and he's trying to find, like, Cheryl's missing, but then he sees her in the fog and he chases after her, and eventually finds himself in an alleyway that's becoming the Otherworld.
Yeah.
And then he gets quote unquote killed, only to wake up in the diner.
Yep.
So then it begs the question, wait a minute, what happened? Was that just a dream that Harry had? Did that actually happen? Did he actually die? Like, we don't know.
It could have really happened, and then he got rescued by Sybil, possibly. I mean, for all we know, who knows?
It could have been that, like, he crashed, and then, like, Sybil dragged him to the diner and waited for him to wake up, and as he was dreaming, as he was, like, knocked out unconscious, he was dreaming that. Now, like, if that's the case, then, like, why was he given that vision? Like, what was that Alessa giving him a vision to, like, prepare him for what's to come? Like,
maybe
we don't know. This is like one of those questions that does not have a definitive answer, and that's one of the things I like about Silent Hill, is that there is a lot of stuff like this where there is no hard and fast, like, fucking here, this is what it is. Like, there's a bunch of unknowable stuff that you'll never have like a concrete answer for, and I think that's part of what makes the game so enduring and interesting.
I think when you're going through that alley, I think the game does a really good job of creeping you out as you go as transitions to the other world. I think the way how it handles the camera angle when you're going through it is especially effective, because it's not only
that disorientation.
Yeah, it's not only claustrophobic, but the camera, that you get a bunch of different camera angles which disorient you. Which I think does...
you have like the cameras like swooping around. And it has this like this like kind of bird's eye view that makes Harry feel like kind of small almost. And it really sells that idea that like Harry is out of his element, like he's in over his head. Like,
what's going on? And then he get ganked by monster babies, and then he wakes up.
I forget what their names are, but like
I think they're the Grey Children. I think they're called.
Because they're called the Grey Children.
I think that's it. So, like, an interesting thing about the monsters in Silent Hill 2, with exception to the abstract daddy, is that all of those monsters stem from James's psyche. But in Silent Hill 1, it has nothing to do with Harry. Those are not monsters specific to Harry. Harry just happens to be wrong place, wrong time.
Like,
you know,
Harry, for all intents and purposes, is just a normal guy
yes,
trying to look for his daughter.
yes,
Like, he doesn't
exactly.
have any traumatic past except for his dead
or
wife.
his wife
Yeah.
passing away.
Yeah.
But aside from being sad
Yeah.
over that, like, yeah, no, and as a result, like, none of the monsters have anything to do with Harry.
So,
But that doesn't mean that the monsters don't mean anything. And they are connected to someone, and we'll get into that.
at the beginning of the game, we're just wandering through Silent Hill, trying to figure out where to go. And it is interesting, the enemies you go through, because at least compared to Silent Hill 2. Because in the overworld in Silent Hill 2, I can just outrun everybody. And no problem. Silent Hill 1, if the birds chase you, if you just go in a straight line, they're gonna hit you. And you have to zigzag.
Yeah, the enemies are very aggressive.
Yeah, I think Silent Hill 1, like, the overworld enemy are much more aggressive than
it got to a point
2.
where every time I got ambushed by like one of those pterodactyl things, I just shot him to death. I could not outrun them.
Oh, I ran zigzags, and like that helped. So, but you do feel much more vulnerable in Silent Hill 1 compared to 2, I think.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
a lot of the monsters are more animalistic.
Yeah.
In the first one, because in 2, a lot of them have like some sort of like kind of human element to them that made them very kind of uncanny. But the monsters in Silent Hill 1, like the flying enemies, looks kind of like a pterodactyl. You know, like there's also the dogs that chase you. There are some human enemies as well, but like it's predominantly like creatures instead, which is interesting. And one thing I really like about Silent Hill 1, and this was also in Silent Hill 2, to be fair, but like I felt like in Silent Hill 1, it felt like you were able to explore the town more. And it felt like, to me, exploring the town in the first game is really fun. Like I really love walking around town and, you know, finding health drinks or like ammo or whatever. I don't know if you feel the same.
I do think there are more areas to explore in the overworld compared to 2. Just because like there's just more open areas in 1 compared to 2, because like there's like optional areas you can stop by in order to get stuff. Not like the police station in Silent Hill 1. That's totally an optional area you can go. It doesn't relate to the story at all. And you just go there if you missed a shotgun from the hospital. If you missed the shotgun from the school, I mean. And then there's an other optional area around the resort area where one of the endings is tied to you searching that area. But it's totally optional. You can just head straight to the lighthouse after you go to the resort area for the first time. So like there's a lot more optional areas in Silent Hill 1 compared to 2, which does add to the overall exploration factor of the game, which I think does make it more fun to explore.
Yeah, I think it's very rewarding. It honestly might be the best use of exploration in the series, if I'm being honest. It's just so satisfying.
Not counting the Silent Hill 2 remake, I think.
That's
Silent
true.
Hill 2 remake's exploration is pretty excellent.
But
when we're talking about like the original trilogy, because 4 doesn't really have that. I think it's best in the first game, because by the time we get to 3 for the most part's like pretty linear, and by the time you do get to the town, it's like a truncated version of the town. Like you only explore like a small part of it.
I do think like the linear part of Silent Hill 3 is interesting, like for the parts until you get to Silent Hill, strangely enough, but we'll talk about that later.
Definitely.
Overall, I think exploration in Silent Hill 1 is, like to say, the best. The dungeon exploration is as good as Silent Hill 2, I think. But like, I think just the overworld, like how vast it is, like how much bigger it is, and how much more optional areas there is, makes it much more interesting to explore compared to Silent Hill 2 and 3. Just because there's a bunch of areas that you can explore and find ammo and enemies at, I think.
I honestly feel like if we're talking about strictly in terms of
Mhm.
gameplay,
Yeah.
I think I enjoy playing Silent Hill 1 the most. That's
I
not to
could see
say,
that.
obviously,
Mhm.
not obviously. It's not to say that I don't enjoy playing the other games, but like I have the most fun playing the first one.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that.
In a
And I
lot of
think
ways,
part
yeah,
of it
in a lot of ways, I can agree. Like, but yeah, I think in terms of gameplay, I think where Silent Hill 1 shines the most really
Mhm.
is in how open-ended Silent Hill is and
Mhm.
how rewarding the exploration is, and how like there's really no wasted time. There's no like space that's wasted in the town, and like we all mentioned before, like how you could literally stumble upon like an area or a building that is completely optional that the story does not make you go to.
Yeah.
So I think that's gameplay wise. I think that might be the strongest part of Silent Hill 1 is the
Mhm.
exploration.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
agree.
I guess we should talk about the first actual dungeon of the game, which is the
The-
school.
Yeah, the school.
The school.
The kindergarten cop school.
Yeah.
I know. Oh, I remember that story. That's hilarious.
Yeah. So like, I think I like when I were first going through the school. I think like this is the longest dungeon in the game, or one of the longer ones.
It was surprisingly long for a first area.
Yeah. I don't know. It just felt pretty long. Maybe it's because of the puzzles in the school too. Because
Oh, that piano puzzle.
yeah, it's the piano puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that tripped me up so much because
Yeah.
you think to solve it you have to pay attention to the correct notes,
Yeah.
but you're actually supposed to pay attention to the wrong notes when you hear the
Yeah.
weird noise as opposed to the
Yeah.
piano.
Like I got most of the puzzle except for the silent part. He just blew up silent birds. Silent. Like, oh, okay. Like I don't think it's too bad of a puzzle once you figure it out. Like figure out like you have to play the wrong notes and the poem is related to location rather than actual sound notes.
Yeah.
But then like there's so many things tripping you up, like the blood on the piano. I thought like, oh, does this have anything to do with the puzzle? My friend's like, no, the blood doesn't matter.
Yeah, red
The-
herring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
literally
there
red
are a
herring.
couple of puzzles that are
Yeah.
like red herrings
Mhm.
like that.
Like later on, there's the Alice and Wonderland tiles.
Mm-hmm,
You just have to match it with the color.
Yeah,
the Alice and
colors were-
the Alice and the Wonderland imagery doesn't have anything to do with the puzzle.
Yep.
Bruh.
Yeah, shit like that just kind of drove me nuts. Call it my lack of
Yeah.
skill in like elaborate puzzles, but sometimes I'm like, I'm get all these red
Bro, no,
herrings, and I'm like,
I
I'm like,
thought the
oh.
puzzle. I thought the puzzle was more elaborate,
Yeah,
bro, than it is. Like, oh, what do you mean just colors, bro? Alyssa's trolling me.
Yeah, I think there was another puzzle where you at first you think like,
Mhm.
oh man, this is like a puzzle about like the zodiac animals or something.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's just about
legs.
like counting the
limbs,
the
the
limbs.
limbs. Yeah.
It makes it seem like it's way more complicated, and then you're like,
Mhm.
oh wait, no, it's actually super simple.
Bro. Yeah, the puzzles are interesting in that yeah, people can make it much more complex than they are, I think. Sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I think that was the intention, was to
Yeah.
kind of mess with you.
But like I guess it fits because like this is like Alyssa's manifestation of Silent Hill. So like I guess it makes sense since she's
Yeah.
essentially a child. So you know.
Yeah. So like all of like the imagery that we see
Mhm.
is just like stuff that Alessa likes.
Yeah.
Why is it Alice in Wonderland? Because she read Alice in Wonderland. She likes the book.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's all there is to it.
I'm a child. I don't. What do you want from me?
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, like I also say like I think this game like makes it very obvious when you go into the other world in Silent Hill.
Yes.
Compared
Yeah.
to 2, because like in 2 it feels a much more
Subtle.
seamless transition. Why in 2, like, oh, I hear sirens, I'm getting a headache, I'm going to Silent Hill.
So like in Silent Hill 2, when you go to the apartments,
Yeah.
right? Like the transition to like the Otherworld version of the apartment
Mhm.
is when you go through the fire escape into the
Mm-hmm.
separate building, right?
Mhm.
And that's supposed to be the Otherworld version, but it doesn't feel like that much more extreme.
Yeah.
But like as you play through the game, there's supposed to be this escalation, right? So like
Yeah.
in the hospital, when you transition, you see like, okay, yeah, the hospital looks more messed up.
Mhm.
And then when you get to the Silent Hill Historical Society, there is no transition. It just starts like messed up like
Yeah.
straight away,
Yeah.
you know. But like, yeah, I one thing I do like about Silent Hill 1 is that you have that moment where Harry is just like, whoa, what the heck? Like
Yeah. Like
everything's all screwed
like
up.
the school. This is just normal school. Like Otherworld. Like what the heck? Like it's like a rundown and a steel industrialized version of the
Everything's
school now.
blood and rust.
Yeah.
And I think that both ways, but the way they both handle it are
Yeah.
both effective in their own unique ways. Like
Yeah.
in 2, it's kind of like sometimes you even wonder like, is this the other world or not? And then it's like with the subtlety works, but also that whole like hearing the sirens, like, oh shit, what's going on? I
Like-
think they both work in their own ways.
Like one, like it's intense, it is scary. You see the scarier version of what you just experienced. Like you think you're done, but you're actually not because you get sent to the other world. I think which is effective. That's only it doesn't happen every time. Happens like at school, the hospital. That's it. Like the
It
lighthouse.
also happens just out in the overworld.
Yeah, it happens in Overworld too. But that works because you never experienced the shift in the overworld before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is really cool because you're out in the street, but you're walking on like metal grates. And
Yeah.
it's like really-
Yeah.
it's unsettling. It doesn't feel right because you're
Yeah.
walking around like in the black void.
Mhm.
Really creepy stuff.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But like, yeah, to your point, Sword.
Yeah.
Like, I think for both games, it works for what they're going for. Like Silent Hill 2, it makes more sense for it to be a little more subdued. While in Silent Hill 1, though, it's supposed to be more visceral. It's supposed to be more like in your face. So in both cases, like they're just doing different things and they're doing them both well.
Mm-hmm. 100%.
I think the fact that this is Silent Hill is manifesting Alessa's basically imagination onto the town, and you fighting through it. Like it's to say that succinctly with the boss of the school, which is the lizard boss. Because you read like a tale of the lizard, which gives you a hint of how you're supposed to fight it, which I thought was really cool.
That was interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of what we see in the game is just
Yeah.
like stories that Alessa wrote
Yeah.
because she's a little girl, so there's not. It's not like James, who is like a grown adult and has developed, trauma and pain and is going through so much, and like the town is able to like extract all of that trauma and that suffering, and is able to create all of this like weird imagery. For Alessa, she's still little. Like she hasn't lived enough to have like to really even understand like how she feels about things. So what we see are just like these half-formed like creatures that are just from stories and books that she read, or not even that, but just like it could just be that she has a fear of dogs. She just she just doesn't like dogs, and that's why we see so many dog creatures all over the place.
Goddamn
just
dogs.
She's just scared of dogs because she's a little girl, and it makes sense. Dogs are scary when you're a little kid.
I still remember read that meme like there's a doghouse, but there's no dogs. Why you see a dog jumping at you? That's pretty funny. But yeah. Anyway, I think
Classic.
I think the lizard boss is really memorable just because like you read about it, so you know what's coming, sort of. Like, oh, why is the game giving me this the fairy tale? Oh well, and you fight it.
Like
Like,
and when
oh,
you're
that's
fighting
why.
it, when you're fighting it, it opens its giant mouth. Like it's
I remember.
it's genuinely like terrifying.
Like, what the?
I was honestly panicking when I fought it the first time. I remember.
Yeah. Like I shall weak you in one bite, and then like the hundreds like I kill
and
you.
that is a one-hit kill. I'm pretty sure. Like even on
It was.
Yeah.
I died on it the first time,
okay.
and it is a one-hit kill. You got you can't survive a single attack.
I didn't die to it, but like I did kill it in 2 shotgun blasts when it opens its mouth, and then my friend's like, "Wait, that's it."
It got me it backed me into a corner, and I couldn't get away. I think that was why it killed me.
Oh, okay, so like
you got unlucky.
Yeah.
I think the lizard boss is like one of the more memorable bosses in this game, which is really cool, I think.
Yeah, especially because Silent Hill in general isn't really known for having like the most amazing boss fights in the world. Yeah. So when you have like a good one like that one, that stands out even more.
I like this sort of thing also happens again in Silent Hill 3, which is also interesting.
I think the bosses in Silent Hill 1 are, at least like gameplay wise, are more fun to fight than the ones in 2.
Yeah, I agree. Because I as much as I love Silent Hill 2, a lot of the, not all of them, but a lot of the bosses kind of revolve around just hiding in one corner of the room, shooting, run to the other corner of the room, shooting, and then just kind of
not super engaging game, in terms of the gameplay.
I think like it also helps like you got a lot more room to maneuver in Silent Hill 1 in the boss rooms compared to 2.
Yeah.
You fight Pyramid Head, and it's an okay room, but not too big. Eddie, like that's a small ass room at first, and then you fight him in the butcher area, which is a lot more space, but you got a bunch of stuff to run into there though.
Yeah, I thought that phase of the boss fight was better though. It was more interesting.
Yeah, as opposed to like bonking him on the head.
But like compared to one, like you got this big ass arena for the lizard, you got like this big ass arena for the worm, and then for
the rooftop for the moth.
And the final boss, you got a lot more room to maneuver when you're trying to dodge their lightning attack. Like there's just a lot more space to maneuver in Silent Hill 1 bosses compared to 2. Or at least that's what I think as well.
Yeah, I agree.
Now, I think the story of Silent Hill 1 obviously isn't as strong as the stories that came after, but I still think it's a pretty solid story.
I think it does a good job of building suspense up and mystery when you're first going through it. Like, you're just going through this town, experiencing the crazy-ass situations you are in Silent Hill and not knowing what you're doing. And then, you go eventually meet the one person who you think have the answers, which is Dhalia Gillespie, I think?
Dhalia Gillespie.
Gillespie. And, like, she's, like, there's not much depth to her in this game. She's just like...
crazy cult lady.
Just crazy cult lady who uses her daughter to try to bring their god. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that the characters are as fleshed out as the other games, really. I think the character that gets the most fleshing out is Alessa.
Yeah.
But characters like Dhalia, for example, they kind of like have like one role in the story and tend to just kind of focus on that.
Harry and what's the cop lady's name again?
Sybil Bennett.
Sybil, like, they're just normal people passing through and then got stuck with this whole situation.
I think Harry, if we're talking about his morality, is a fucking like amazing person.
Yeah,
like
he's going
to hell and back for his daughter. Like, what a fucking Chad.
He gets a lot more interesting development in 3 as well. I think when you read through his journal.
Yeah, 100%. We kind of get like No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, but like for Silent Hill 1 specifically, not a super interesting character.
Yeah,
I agree. Like he's good, and like we, like you said, he's like he's got a heart of gold.
Yeah, like I think Harry's is the most stable protagonist so far compared to James, and in some regards Heather, depending on what endings you get,
And he also deserves Dad of the Year.
Yeah.
Really does. What a beast.
Not even just Dad of the Year, Dad of the fucking century. Like literally went to hell and back for his daughter. Fucking Chad.
Then you got Dhalia Gillespie, which is this crazy cult lady who wants to use her daughter to bring their god. Michael Kaufman, which is a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's a bastard.
Yeah. Lisa, who I think you do feel the most sorry about regarding her situation.
Yeah. She's a sympathetic character.
Yeah.
I think aside from Alessa, she's probably the most interesting character.
Yeah.
I think she has more. Like you said, aside from Alessa, she has the most like depth. There's more to her compared to the other characters. Because I do feel like a lot of the characters are kind of like one note. It sounds a little harsh, but like
they serve their function in the story, but there's not. You don't. There's not much depth went into them.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Like it's more about like the mystery of the story. Like it's more about that and the themes present. It's more kind of more about. I feel like it's more about the grand story more so than the characters, which could be good or bad depending on who you ask.
I agree. It's more plot driven than it is character driven.
Yeah. I do think it is interesting how you have to save Michael in order to get the good ending of the game. In order to get the to get the red ghoul stuff. Or
if you get the good plus ending, though, he does not make it.
Yeah, that was the ending I got.
You have to save him in the resort area in order to get the stuff you need.
When he's being attacked by the monster.
Yeah, like he dies in good plus 2. I'm just saying, like, you have to actually interact with him in order to get the stuff you need in order to get the good ending, which is the canon ending, I think.
It's either the good or the good plus ending. I think there is a little bit of contention as to which is the canon ending. I think people say that the good ending is canon and not the good plus ending because Aglophagus is like super rare, and if you use the Aglophagus to save Sybil, then how does Harry then give the Aglophagus to Heather that she uses at the end of Silent Hill 3?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Because it's inside of her locket that she got from her dad.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what? I never checked the locket when I was playing for Silent Hill 3 at all. like my friends, like when we get to the final boss, like you have the thing all along, like, oh, is it the locket? Like, oh, it's in the locket? Oh, I never checked the locket, man.
Yeah. If you don't use the locket in that moment,
you just die. You just
die.
Over.
You just die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After the school, go to the church, which is just an area you go to meet Dhalia, Gypsy. Then you go to the hospital, and of course, has every Silent Hill game have a hospital in it?
Almost.
I want to say almost. If not all of them, it's most of them.
The original 4, all of them have a hospital.
Oh, okay. But yeah, you go to hospital. This is where you meet Michael Kaufman, and his introduction is incredibly shady. He's like, when you first meet him, he just shoots at you. Like, I think he fired warning shots, I guess, but it just looked like he shot you, which I think is pretty funny.
Yeah, I love Harry's animation. He's like, "Don't shoot!" He's like,
I mean, this dude's been fighting like pterodactyl and dog monsters, and then he draws the line at Kaufman. It's pretty funny.
You go to the hospital. Like I would say, like Silent Hill 1 probably got the most conservative nurse designs.
So so here's a fun fact, and it's something that like you normally wouldn't pick up on because it's a cultural thing.
Yeah,
but. The Japanese have this weird thing about the number 4. So in hospitals in particular, they don't have a 4th floor, or at least they don't call it the 4th floor. They'll call it like the 5th floor because it would be I don't know the specific direct translation, but the equivalent would be like saying, "Oh yeah, your family member is on floor death."
Boy.
So the fact that there is only 3 floors in the hospital at first, but then after a certain point, a 4th floor materializes, is supposed to be like a really freaky thing for Japanese people in particular.
Okay.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, that makes a lot more sense now. That's pretty cool.
It's also interesting, like, I think the hospital and the nurses and doctors are the only human enemies you actually fight in this game.
Yeah, which they're being taken over by like a parasite or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I believe their names were puppet nurses, like as if they're being like controlled.
Yeah, like you see, something on their back growing out.
Yeah, it's like
of it.
there's like a giant growth coming out of their backs,
Yeah.
which kind of they're almost like they're kind of like zombie like in a way. Like
Yeah, I think that's the same thing that was controlling Sybil.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't
that
know.
like red water or whatever it was.
The red water, the red goo.
The
glophagus.
Yeah, that's what it was. Right.
Yeah. I just called it red goo because I don't remember the full name. Like this, and the hospital is the first area where if you need to find the red water in order to get the good ending, and like the way you get it is really strange because you need to get the bottle from the kitchen area, and then you just have to interact the red water with the bottle, and somehow Harry just scoops it up somehow with just the bottle. So when it's on the floor,
I'm assuming it's not like super liquidy.
Oh,
I'm guessing it's like maybe like jelly-like liquid.
Yeah.
I mean, or at least it's like a thick liquid.
Okay.
That's always been my assumption.
Yeah.
Because if it was like water, then obviously you wouldn't be able to scoop it up.
Yeah, I thought it was just like blood or some like the consistency with it. So which always like caught me like how is he scooping it up?
Yeah, no, I just always assumed it was kind of like a goopy liquid.
So like the hospital, that's where you get the Alice in Wonderland puzzle. You find the tiles, and then you get the poem on the floor, on the wall. It tells you the colors. The poem tells you where to put the colors. And no, the Alice in the Wonderland, there's no Alice in the Wonderland symbolism in the puzzle itself. It's just behind the tiles.
No, yeah, it's just there because she read the book.
Yeah, and then here's where you meet Lisa as well. And like, as well as you get this cassette, but you can't play it right now. You just get static out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, the interesting thing about Lisa's character is that she can only be you only
meet her in the other world, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like you know, unlike Kaufman, who you can see him like outside, like she can only be met under very specific circumstances.
I think she's also one of the only characters you meet in the other world when it transitions like that. Yeah.
And the reason is because Lisa Garland is dead. The actual Lisa is no longer alive. The Lisa that we see in the game is comprised of Alessa's memories of her. So the Lisa that we meet is very similar to what we think Maria is in Silent Hill 2. They're not dissimilar from each other.
That's pretty interesting.
And that's partly why Lisa kind of like loses it by the end, because she thinks she's the real Lisa. And then at some point she realizes that what she is similar to the monsters. And that's why like she starts, you see like the blood is like streaking down her, like she's like walking weird, and like it's because she's coming to that realization. She doesn't want to accept it.
And those are like interesting ideas. It's just like things like that. I kind of wish like they were explored like in more detail.
I mean,
but it's like we both said
that. This is a PS1 game, so
Yeah. But like what we do get is great. It's just like. But like I mentioned before, like it's like Silent Hill 1 is more kind of like plot focused than it is character focused. But like what we do get, especially with Lisa, I do think is very interesting.
Yeah, and that's mainly why I think like while Alessa is definitely the best written character, I think like that's why I put Lisa like below her. 'Cause, like you said though, like it would have been cool if it was taken further, but like for what is in the game, like it is still pretty interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's like for the time it came out, it was definitely like very impressive.
And then you get to the antique shop and subway and the sewer, which I think could be called the most filler area in the game. Because you're like, when you get to the antique shop, you meet again with Sybil. And then like she basically guides you to try to get to the lighthouse area where she she saw Sherilyn. And and the rest is just trying to get there, but since the direct path is broken, you have to figure out how to get there. which is why you go through the subway where you fight the worm, the sewers, the resort, and then the resort area is the most interesting because that's where you get other requirements for good ending plus. And this is like the resort area is where you find out that Michael Kaufman is pretty much a piece of shit. Like
he's been in on it the entire time.
Yeah, like he's with the cult. He's been like he's probably deeply connected with the drug problem that the town has. I think he also drugged Lisa and got her addicted. So he'll do whatever he says. So like he's just a piece of shit. And like you figure it out like through exploring this area. And I think it's interesting how like you can miss this area completely and just get the bad ending if you don't explore the resort area.
Yeah, and I think the bad ending of the game is really interesting because it's basically implying that the game wasn't real and it was just like a fever dream that Harry had before he died in a car crash.
Because it just cuts back to him like just dead in the car, right?
Yeah, and I think that the implications are pretty strong. That at least in that ending, which obviously is definitely not canon or anything, but yeah, that ending does pretty much say that none of it was real.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of like the game's way of kind of signaling to the player, like, "Hey, you did something wrong. Go back and try again." Because it is an unsatisfying ending for that reason. And I think that's the developers going, there's better endings, right? There's something that will answer more of what's going on if you just like work harder, try to figure it out.
And then you get to the lighthouse where a good amount of the plot is explained with where Harry explains to Sybil how there's this other world that's trying to invade this world. And then the Dhalia chips in, saying like, you need to stop Alessa from completing the fusion by stopping her from casting, drawing the circles throughout town. Because you see throughout the previous areas how like there's a drawn circle in various parts of the town, like at the school in the middle of the courtyard. You see there's like a drawn circle, so you see that there is something being done to the town in order to influence it somewhat. So like you go with this idea that you have to stop Alessa Gillespie until you reach her. That's not what she's doing. I think like the Dhalia Gillespie says that Alessa's been trying to prevent that by with I forgot what they call it, like Seal of Metatron?
Yeah, Seal of Metatron, that's what it was.
Yeah. And Dhalia is the one who's trying to use the town in order to give birth to their god. And who knew? This creepy old lady is the antagonist? Who would have figured that out,
What a twist.
What a twist.
What a twist.
And then the rest of the game is just trying to stop Dhalia. And then you go through the amusement park where you fight Sybil, who's been like mind controlled or like who's been possessed. I'm not sure what she's possessed by, but it's probably the same thing that possessed the doctors and nurses.
Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier. Yeah, it's definitely the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called though. That's why.
I don't know if it has a name.
So like, you can either kill her or use the red goo that you found in the hospital to save her. Apparently, she takes like 56 rifle shots. So,
whoa! I did not know that.
Damn.
That's what my friend said. Maybe on hard mode, maybe? I don't know. Strangely enough, I play Silent Hill 1 and 3 on normal mode because my friend told me to.
I mean, better than playing on hard.
Yeah. And then the final dungeon is like this amalgamation of all the previous areas you've been through, which is pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It was an interesting area, but like I got so irritated with not having a map. No matter what you do, I ended up having to use a guide. I couldn't. It was too confusing for me.
Oh, like I didn't need to use a map. I mentally mapped it out pretty well. But there is one area where I died. It was my only death, and I showed Daniel this. The fridge.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, that killed me too. That's right.
With the fridge. Like, if you don't use this ring to chain the chains, the monster inside will kill you. Like, somehow this ring can prevent the monster from exiting the fridge. But yeah.
Yep.
And then you get like Melchior sword. I do think it's interesting how like all of the keys to the final door are like all have to revolve around symbols of rebirth or reincarnation, sort of, which I think is pretty interesting. Basically, after the fun, and I think the final dungeon is where you learn a lot about Alyssa's backstory in the final dungeon.
Yeah, that's when like that stuff comes to light, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one thing in particular that like fans have been unsure about is, so the whole thing that happened with Alyssa is that Dhalia decided, I'm going to use my daughter in this fucking weird ritual to like summon the god of the cult or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And in the process of doing that, a fire happened, and she was burned in the process.
Mm-hmm.
So some people think that the fire was part of the ritual, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. So what's more likely to be the truth is that while Alessa was going through the ritual, because of her innate like psychic power, it may, like the stress of the ritual, she might have accidentally like exploded the boiler room or something, and she caused the fire by accident. Because if you go through a lot of the imagery related to the ritual that you can see, none of it has to do with fire, really. Like they have like a bunch of portraits and stuff that you can see, and it all has to do with like their religion, and it has to do with the ritual. None of it has to do with fire. So the fire was clearly like a weird accident. And while that was happening, that was when Sybil, not Sybil, Alessa also like split her soul in half. So that that's how she created Cheryl.
Yep.
For Harry to find.
That's pretty
It's a little complicated.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. And like the cult has been trying to get Cheryl back here, essentially. I think Yeah,
because she's not at her full power, so
Yeah.
they can't really use her.
Yeah,
as
like
she is.
apparently, like the flashback scene where you see Michael, Dhalia, and like 2 doctors in there. I think one is voiced by the actual director of the game.
Really?
That would not surprise me.
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting.
It's like the guy with the heavy accent, I think.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I remember who you're talking
That
about.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but yeah, that checks out.
Okay. Eventually you fight the final boss, and like the good plus ending gets you to fight basically what is basically a demon, or you fight Alessa, who's now combined with Cheryl.
Yeah, so when you fight the demon, I kind of interpret that as what Alessa thinks their god is.
Yeah.
Because to me, I never got the like, it never seemed to me that Alessa was down to clown with the cult.
Yeah.
like she, to her, the cult is just like weird and scary. And they're worshiping this weird god. So so like her interpretation of like what their god would look like is a fucking demon.
Yeah.
It's like this Baphomet looking thing.
Yeah.
A lot of people think that demon that you fight is the god, and it's not. Like, what's going on in Silent Hill, and it's like, this is clearly not what they want, right? Like, why would the cult want this?
Yeah.
They thought they thought that like what they were doing was going to usher in like paradise and stuff. Like, why would they want like blood, rust, and like demons and shit?
Basically, you fight it, and if you get the good plus ending, Alessa appears and and like reincarnates herself again, and then gives the baby to Harry, and then opens a portal to exit Silent Hill, and then him and Sybil just run through. And then it seems like Michael is going to live, but then nope, he gets justifiably dragged down to Silent Hill by Lisa, which is fitting.
Lisa got her revenge.
Yeah, which is fitting. And that's where the game basically ends, I think.
Yeah.
Overall, like I think Silent Hill 1, I think it's really an effective horror game. I think from like what I played.
Yeah, definitely.
When you consider the time that it came out, like Silent Hill 1 was by far the scariest video game ever made.
Yeah.
I don't think anything else came close. And I think it stood the test of time. You go back and play it now. Obviously you're playing an old PS1 game, sure, but like the strength of its art direction, it's still like a really creepy, disturbing, like spoopy game.
Like we said, like the characters aren't that deep. Probably because like it is a PS1 game, so couldn't get that much characterization in it. Maybe
not to mention like everything was voiced. So the PS1 was like struggling to have like every time they had like a line of voice dialogue, they had to like pause to load the next audio file.
Besides the pause, I thought the voice acting wasn't too bad, at least compared to other PS1 games that came out at the time.
Yeah, the voice acting was honestly pretty decent.
Yeah.
But yeah, like honestly, like it's like especially with regard to the voice acting, like honestly, in a lot of ways, the game was really pushing the envelope when it came to like its like audio and visuals, especially for the PS1.
Overall, like I think Silent Hill 1 is still pretty fun to play through. I think there's like the only frustrating part is some of the puzzles, I think.
Yeah, some of the puzzles, if you don't want to cheat and you want to try and figure them out yourself, like it's not impossible, obviously, but like depending on your tolerance, some puzzles can be real like head scratchers.
And overall, I think it's fun to play through. There's like a really good variety of enemy types in this game, like especially compared to 2, where
2 only has like 3-4 monsters, maybe.
No, it's a little more than that.
It's a bit more than that, but
I mean, there's only a handful. Like, there's definitely more limiting.
You definitely see more variety in Silent Hill 1, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I think the story is pretty decent overall.
Yeah, it's like we all mentioned, like it's definitely, the stories that came after for the most part tended to be better, and you could tell that the writers kind of started to hone their craft more and more as the series went along. But for what it is, it's not bad. It's not like it's not my favorite story in the Silent Hill series, but it is pretty solid for what it is.
And Silent Hill 1 is really good with its atmosphere and overall the creepiness factor and scary factor of the Otherworld. I think it really does those jobs well, especially with how it handles its environmental design as well as the camera angles.
Yeah, camera angles.
Yeah, and as well as the music. The music is really great.
That's always been like Kiriyama Oka has always been like one of the heart. Has been like one of the main like people breathing life into the series.
Overall, Silent Hill 1 really good. At least that's what I think from playing through it.
Yeah, it is. It is a good game.
100%. Yep. Still a good game all these years later.
Silent Hill 3. Now let's see. This is basically the direct sequel to 1, even though you don't know it at the start. So Silent Hill 3, you follow Heather. It starts off, strangely enough, like Silent Hill 1 with sort of like a premonition with cause like
call it a deadly premonition.
Nice.
Like it starts off with you being in the amusement park and then going through the amusement park and you see all these different monsters, like what the heck is going on, and then like you eventually reach to the roller coaster part, and when you're going through it, basically the roller coaster crashes into you and you die, and that's when you wake up.
Or you can die beforehand.
Oh, you can die beforehand? Oh, okay.
Yeah, if the monsters can kill you, and then
Oh, okay.
just start at the diner.
Okay.
You don't have to reach the end. You can just like kill yourself immediately if you want to.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Okay. But yeah. Basically, it's like Silent Hill 3 starts out pretty normally. Outside of the premonition with Heather just
So real quick,
Yeah.
When Heather wakes up from the dream,
yeah.
and she's in that like cafe or whatever, and the window is like the sunlight coming out of the window is like kind of like a strange like tone of red. Masahiro Ito, I believe, confirmed that was intentional because it was supposed to like symbolically get across that the game was going to be about blood.
Oh, okay.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, like, so basically, Heather goes. I think it was a burger place. As we go.
Something like that.
Yeah. She goes out, go on a payphone, talk to her dad, and then after that, she's just like walking around the mall until she's stopped by
Douglas.
Douglas. He's tried to stop her, and because he wants to talk about her birth, like Heather doesn't want anything to do with it and tries to walk away from him, but he keeps following her, and then
really weird thing to say to someone.
Weird
I
thing.
want to talk about your conception. Like, might as well have said that at that point. Like, it's just really, in her defense, that is very creepy when she doesn't know like what's going on.
Yeah, she just
in Douglas's like defense, more than likely that was what Claudia told him to say.
Yeah.
He was just doing what he was told.
Mm-hmm. She just runs to the bathroom, and then tries to like ditch him there. Get
him to slip.
Yeah. The washroom area and like the area in the back is like, it's very calm. Like it has this like really catchy music in it.
I love that. I love that track.
Yeah.
Bum 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 bum.
Yeah. Like it's like the calm before the storm, essentially.
Yeah. And I think it's very fitting like tone of music for like Heather as a character. It's kind of got like this like punk rock-ish tone, which I think fits someone who's like kind of like at that stage of life.
Rebellious teenager.
Yeah, we've all been there.
I also really like so when you're in that bathroom, you see the first save point, and if you examine the mirrors, she talks about how she doesn't like mirrors because she feels like she's not really looking at herself in the mirror. She feels like she's looking at an imposter, and she knows that what she's saying doesn't really make sense and it's silly, but like it's just how she feels. And if you think about it, it is kind of foreshadowing for something that happens, much later on in the game.
So like she escapes through the window, and then can I say, whoever parks the van there, it's questionable.
How'd you get it in there?
How you get it in there, man? How do you get out?
What an asshole.
All I can think of is that they put the car in neutral and they pushed it in. That's about it. Why would you do that?
It's because if you're in the car, like you said, like literally you cannot get out of the car. So there's no practical purpose for it.
Yeah, little silly.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little funny thing.
Right then, like go through another door to the mall, and then like I think it slowly changes. Like the mall slowly changes because you see like it getting more dirty and whatnot, and then you counter the first monster. The closer, yeah.
That is my favorite monster in the game, and one of my favorite monsters in the series.
Yeah, because it looks like It's got like, it doesn't even have a face. It's just a pair of lips, and it's got like these giant arms and kind of like a weird skirt. Like, it almost makes me feel like this is so like.
I would say like the monsters have this more body horror imagery to them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, in the first game, all the monsters have to do with Alessa. Like, it's all about like her little like fears and insecurities, you know, in books that she read.
Yeah.
But like in Silent Hill 3, the monsters are a combination of both Alessa and Heather. So a lot of the imagery has to do with like the trauma that was inflicted by the cult, as well as traumas that Heather dealt with as she was growing up.
Yeah, like the fear and insecurities of her as a young girl, essentially.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
Yes. I feel like this monster could be like Heather's insecurity about like her feminine side, like, because she's kind of tomboyish, right? Like she's not like a girly girl. So like, I feel like maybe she feels negatively towards like overt femininity, and maybe she feels insecure around like more feminine women, and maybe that's what that monster represents.
So yeah, once that cutscene happens, you're basically in your first dungeon, which is the mall. And I will say this: the game really doesn't want you to fight in this game compared to the others, just because of how many enemies there are in this game compared to 1 and 2.
You do get more weapons though.
Yeah, there's just a swarm of them in this game, I think, compared to.
I mean, they're definitely more commonplace in 3 than they are in 2, for sure.
And there's a more variety of them too.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with the variety. I'm just saying, like, you really feel like you don't want to fight them just because like they just swarm you. If you do, because like you counter like 3 or 4 closures like after you exit the store that you were in when you encounter your first one. Like, oh, they really don't want you to fight them. At least that's what I thought when I was going through the area, at the first area at least.
Yeah, I feel like 3 feels like a combination of 1 and 2 in that respect. Because like it has like the enemies feel closer to 2 in like what they represent and what they mean, but like they have the more like the viciousness of the monsters from 1. Like, it's a combination of like, they mean something, but they're also a little more animalistic. Some of them still have like the human elements. It's really cool. I really like what they did with the monsters.
I honestly, like, my take is like, I honestly think 3 has like not just the scariest, but also just like the most interesting and memorable monsters in the series, in my opinion.
Oh my god, I think like in the first area at least, the Beyblade one, the one that goes around the edge.
Oh, I hate those things. I hate.
Like I just, the sound just like creeps me out. Like, what the heck am I hearing?
And like you shoot them, and they just charge right at you.
Forget about the insane cancer, which is the fucking most like craziest name.
And boy, does it live up to its name.
that was like the really big fat one.
Oh
yeah.
Oh, the cancer.
You know what ones really?
Yeah.
The ones that really freaked me out were the little ones, the slurpers. They're called the ones that like crawl at you.
No,
and
they just knock you down. They just knock you down.
They're annoying to fight when they knock you down, but like they make the most hideous sound. Like, oh my god.
I think it's also interesting how this game has like a bait system of sorts. Like with,
I didn't take advantage of it.
Yeah, I never bothered with it.
I took advantage of it once. And it's pretty effective against like the dogs and those enemies, those little red baby thingies.
I never think to use them, honestly.
Okay. Yeah.
It's more trouble than it's worth, I think.
It's a bit of trouble because like there's a long animation with Heather dropping the jerky. Silent Hill 3, the mall area. So like, this is like Silent Hill 2 and 3 have hard modes for their puzzles, right? This is the this is the game that has the Shakespeare one, right?
Yes, Yes, oh my god. So I didn't do hard mode for Silent Hill 3 for the puzzles, but I do know of it. It's literally you have to know Shakespeare in and out and do math equations as far as what I've heard. Like, what the fuck were they thinking?
My friend was looking at a guide for this game. So you know how much space the hard mode dungeons takes on the page?
How much?
Half of that dungeon. Half of the dungeon guide is just a hard mode puzzle.
That is hilarious.
I mean, I'm sure there are some people who are like hardcore puzzle lovers who are like these are the greatest puzzles ever.
Yeah.
But like for like normal human beings,
Like how are you supposed to figure it out, especially as someone in Japan with Shakespeare and stuff?
Well,
I don't know.
to mention, also this game came out well before like online like guides were really a thing. So like you didn't have a cell phone to go to like GameFAQs or something. Like you're fucked.
No, yeah, back then you had to buy the guide.
Yep, that's about it. Otherwise you got no shot.
But yeah, like I think the imagery in this game is especially intense compared to 1 and 2. Like even like going to the Otherworld where you go through this elevator and like you just met with this monster like across like the other side.
Oh yeah, it's like just slugging around and see. I think this my opinion is I honestly think Silent Hill 3 is the scariest game in the series. Like man, did this game get me? Like, and I've beaten this game like probably 4 or 5 times now, and it makes me super uncomfortable, super unsettled. I love like I love the audio, the sound design, especially the Otherworld, when the areas get like just caked in grime. I think it took that concept and perfected it.
Overall, like I think I like the exploration in this game as well. Like it's overall the same type of thing you're doing in Silent Hill 2 and 1, where you just try and figure out where to go and like marking off locked doors. But the dungeons in this game I feel are much more expansive compared to 1 and 2.
And something I like about 3's areas is, we mentioned this before briefly, but 3 is definitely much more linear than 1 and 2. But I honestly think that kind of works to its advantage, because first of all, the environments are a lot more claustrophobic, but not so much so to the point where it's like you like. I think
the linearity works when you're just trying to get back home. I think it works well.
Once you get
because it gets to the fear of you having to walk home by yourself at night, which is a scary prospect as a kid, I think, or even as a teenager, which I think works to the game's advantage. At least that's what I think. Yeah.
I definitely think the linearity is used very effectively.
It's less effective once you get to actual Silent Hill. So the actual Silent Hill exploration is very minimal compared to 1 and 2, because you don't even have holes in the Silent Hill area. There's no holes. It's just blocked off. Where's the holes? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
The first half, I think the linearity works really well.
Yeah, honestly, I would have been okay if the whole game was like that. And to be fair, the vast majority of the game is like that.
Like I think it works really well because like you don't know what to expect, since there's no traditional overworld map in the first half of the game, because you're just linear level after linear level until you get home. So like you don't have any you don't feel safe at all, because like at least in 1 and 2, like once you get to the overworld map, you can sort of be relieved that dungeon is over for now. In 3, it's just constant.
You're just on Wild Toad's, Mr. Toad's wild ride the whole time.
You're just uneasy about how you're gonna get home, which again works well to the game's themes, I think. Okay, back to talking about the mall area. Do you guys remember how Heather couldn't reach for the key under the...
under the pallet.
Yeah, under the pallet.
You have to get the tongs, right?
You gotta get the tongs.
Even though it looked like she could have just reached for it.
Yeah.
I don't think they conveyed that very well visually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked a little silly.
Don't worry. You know what else looks silly? When she's mixing the chemicals together. The way she.
Oh, yeah, I remember that part.
Oh, good. But overall, like the puzzles isn't too bad in normal mode, I think. But you know what's the thing I noticed first when going through this for the mall? When you're interacting with stuff and you're reading the description, time doesn't stop. Like if enemies like
I didn't realize that. Interesting.
Yeah.
You know how there's the crescent moon, right? The crescent moon door where you have to get like the moonstone from the.
Oh yeah, you'll still get attacked by a dog or a closer or whatever.
Like, I was reading that, and then I saw a closer attacking me. Like oh no. Oh no! I was like, I had to kill. I killed the closer and the dog in there because I thought you needed. There's a puzzle you need to read under the description, but no, you just need to get the moonstone from the nut. So yeah, like that's interesting.
I mean, it gets you if nothing else if you don't know that ahead of time.
Yeah. But overall, this is the first good dungeon. Lots of areas to explore. Decent puzzles, I think. Like nothing's too hard, too obscure, I think, in this game. And then there's the boss you fight, which is
the cockworm.
A giant worm.
it's Mara. It's Mara for MSMT.
Yeah. He made his debut here at Silent Hill 3.
So yeah, I think it's pretty clear that the monster is about Heather's concerns about
Yeah.
So it's
About
either
things.
about, I don't want to say it's immediately about sex because
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily have to be. It could be like she's insecure, maybe not insecure, but just like she feels unsafe around men in general. And I think that's fair because like, she's been on the run because of the cult, and the cult no doubt set like bad men after her, and that her dad had to like defend her from. So like she's developed this like negative association with men that are not her dad, and that's why like Douglas immediately she was already like on the defensive right when she meets him. Like obviously Douglas didn't do himself any favors with the way he was acting.
Yeah.
But like I think it shows like a deeper rooted like issue that she has with men, and I think it's manifested in this. The only way to put it is this fucking penis monster.
But yeah, once you beat it, everything turns back to normal, which I think is like really interesting since I think this is the first time you see the abrupt transformation like that.
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, and like what's interesting because the first half of the game doesn't take place in Silent Hill. So like, what's going on? It's like, what the heck's going on here? And then you basically try to exit the mall and go through the subway, where you're also stopped by Douglas again. Like he's like, what's going on?
And then that was when he reveals that Claudia sent him to find her.
Oh yeah, I forgot that you meet Claudia.
Oh yeah, we meet Claudia in the mall.
Yeah.
So fun fact is that Claudia's voice actor is she's the same woman that did Angela.
Oh.
That I did hear about. Actually, and it's actually even more fun fact that it was kind of makes me laugh is in the HD collection they intentionally gave Angela and Claudia the same voice actress in those recasts, Laura Bailey. So I'm like, they're being cheeky on purpose.
Oh,
yeah. Although, like, no offense to Laura, I love Laura Bailey, and she usually does great work. But like, I'm sorry, that wasn't it.
Like,
no,
casting, direction, casting voices.
Yeah,
casting,
she was miscast. It was not her fault.
Yeah. No, yeah, definitely, for sure.
Overall, like, Douglas and Heather just talk, like, he's trying to figure out what's going on. She said, like, it's all because Claudia. I was like, Claudia, what? I'm just doing my job. I've just been told to find you, And then like Heather, like she turned like she can't trust Douglas. because he is working for Claudia at that point. So she just tries to head back home for the subway, which is another dungeon. Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, no, the subways is basically another dungeon.
Yeah.
Like, the game is basically one big dungeon.
Yeah. Anyway, apparently there's a map to this area. I never found a map.
Really?
Yeah. I just went through by mentally mapping the area.
Honestly, I think I did the same. I don't think I found the map either.
Yeah. Like, I only knew the map because I saw a playthrough of someone finding a map on there.
Interesting. I didn't know that there was a map for the
Yeah.
subway. I thought the subway was like supposed to be intentionally like.
Yeah.
Well, that's
really
so funny.
confusing.
I think I just found the map by total accident, just like kind of being like really, really thorough.
Oh, okay.
Like I don't think I saw it. I just kind of clicked on it by accident. I'm like, oh shit, there's a map.
What's interesting is that you get an optional cutscene in this game by reading a news article.
Yeah,
on
I know
the
exactly
subway.
what you're talking about.
Like, you read about how someone got pushed onto the tracks. Like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And that leads to a really creepy cutscene that is missable.
Where headers get pushed onto the tracks.
And then the scene has this first-person perspective, and you can hear this really disturbing, scattered breathing.
Yeah.
And oh my god, especially because I watched my dad play Silent Hill 3 when I was a kid, and that was like at the time that was like the scariest thing in the world to me. And even now it's still like I still find it very creepy.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Like that cutscene, the fact that it's optional is crazy because like it's such an effective cutscene. You think they'd make it like a mandatory cutscene, but like
But if you are lucky enough to get it, then it's definitely very effective.
Yeah, it's really effective.
Excellent.
I didn't even know. Like, my friend went to the washroom, and I just like, oh, what the heck is this cutscene? Like, oh, do you know it's optional? Unani? There's a part where it kind of tricks you with the red door, and then the train's coming, and then like if you have to go get to the platform.
That is like. I only know how to do that just because of like past playthroughs, but I kind of feel like how the hell are you supposed to like think to do that? Like that's the solution. Yeah. When you're playing it blind.
I think you're supposed like it's a red tinted door, so you think that there's a door you might have to go through. That's why.
And then you haphazardly try to Yeah.
You can die by the train if you go on the track and go try to the screen position, like go to another area on the track. The train just runs you over.
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know about that.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. It took me a bit to get through the subway, just because I didn't have the map.
It's kind of confusing.
Yeah. That's like, there's like different areas, different platforms you have to go through in order to get the Nutcracker and various other stuff. But like, once you get on trains, pretty safe. Once you get on the actual subway, it's pretty straightforward. I think you meet the cancer for the first time in the subway area.
Yeah, it's like right at the tail end of the area you encounter it for the first time, and it's like when you hear the radio going off.
Subway.
Like when you hear that radio going off, and in the distance you're like, "What the hell is that on the floor?" And then you see that thing just stand up and come at you. It's like, holy shit!
And then you encounter it again on the subway, though you don't have to fight it. You can just run past it, I think, which I did. And then you get
They're pretty easy to kill, though, to be honest.
Then you get to the Underpass area, or like the subway area. Just talking about this area. There's a lot more instant death scenes in this game compared to 1 and 2, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you don't fry the underwater beast with the hairdryer, it just kills you. It just kills you if you walk past the bridge.
Oh, the tentacle monster kind of thing. Yeah, that one.
But yeah, the Underpass isn't too big of an area.
It's kind of like a filler-ish area, I guess. Like it's pretty brief. It's honestly, I think it might be the shortest level in the game.
Yeah.
Not really any complicated puzzles. I don't even remember if there were any puzzles outside of, I guess if you want to call the hairdryer thing a puzzle, which I don't know if I really go that far.
But then get to the Mannequin Building, which is like a straight up dungeon, I think. Yeah. Because you go to like, once you explore the floors and get to an area with the bathtub, then it just fails. You get transported to the Otherworld version of it.
Yeah, that's a really cool scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very unexpected. Like, you wouldn't think that examining a bathtub of all things would transfer you to the other world like that.
Yeah.
It's so, like, just out of left field and
Yeah.
very, like, disorienting, but in a good way.
And I love Heather's reaction. She's just angry. She's just like, what the fuck? This shit keeps happening. Like,
She's not
scared.
even,
She's not scared. She's just sick of
it's not
like
fear.
this shit.
She's basically just like, what the fuck, man? At this point,
Yeah.
yeah, she's just pissed.
she's like, Mondays, am I right? Like, that's basically her reaction.
And to be fair, like if I was in her shoes at that point, like I would just be like angry. I'd be like, fuck this shit. Fuck your blood and your rust. Get me out of here.
Yeah, because at this point she's kind of like gotten used to it. Like, actually, I remember there was an interesting dialogue that I thought was pretty cool in the subway area where, you'll find like a dead body. You'll see like a pair of legs, and if you examine it, she'll even say in dialogue, like, I think I've gotten numb to everything at this point, which I thought was pretty cool.
When she went to the subway to that, she's just like, there's nothing important here. There's a dead guy there.
That's the value here.
Nothing of value here, bruh.
I think of all the characters, like the main characters, Heather is the most real.
Yeah.
She definitely is like the most, for lack of a better word, like human character in a way. Like, she definitely feels like
grounded.
Yeah, that grounded is the word I was looking for. Yeah, exactly.
That's like, Harry is like an everyman.
Yeah.
Chad saving his daughter. James is like obviously just fucking depressed and insane. And
what a combination.
And Henry in the fourth game is like fucking autistic or something.
Honestly, he basically is. Every reaction to him is, what the hell?
Yeah.
Basically.
You can find a silencer around this area.
Yeah,
I remember that.
An MGS3 reference.
Oh, okay. I don't see the point of it in this game.
I never used it.
Yeah. I also
because enemies are gonna see you anyway.
Yeah.
Like, it's like now you're.
I also missed the body armor in the first area.
Did you?
Yes. So like I went through the game without the body armor. So strangely enough, I didn't die much due to damage in this game.
I'd say Silent Hill 3 compared to 1 and 2 is definitely the more challenging in terms of the gameplay.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, not like a super hard game or anything, but like, it's a little more like involved.
Yeah. And then, you know what you find in the Mannequin Building? A Japanese sword!
Oh yeah, the katana.
The katana.
Oh, I love that weapon. That was my go-to weapon after I got it.
I think that's like one of the better weapons in the game too.
It's definitely the best melee weapon for sure.
But yeah, also like once you get to the Otherworld in the Mannequin Building, you meet Vincent. Yeah.
Oh man, I love this guy. Like, he's such a slimy bastard, but he's so engaging as a character that I love. Yeah, he's so interesting. I just can't. I love to hate him. He's one of those characters.
Yeah, like you don't know what's the deal with him. You just know that he's probably someone you shouldn't trust, especially with how he tried to badmouth Harry to her, and Heather's like, well, what do you? Don't you dare talk
really
to my
sets her
father
off.
like that? Yeah. And it ends with, I knew I couldn't trust you. Like, you're on her side, meaning Claudia, or like.
And he's always like, I'm on nobody's side, but she didn't buy that.
Yeah. And then she says like, you're crazy too. The funniest thing is, you can't go back to the area, to the room you were in. So like, you have a shortcut made just so you don't have to interact with him again.
It's made for you.
Yeah, it's like, no, I don't want to deal with that asshole again.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah. I think like the other interesting puzzle in this game is like there's this like monster that's basically a door, and like in order to get through it, you have to read.
Yeah, that section's really interesting. Yeah.
You basically have to find other pieces of this fairy tale that you find, because like the book is all scattered around, and then eventually you find it and then you read it, and then it dies because of like how it happens in the storyline, because of the monster heard this phrase, which is what was the phrase again? Ego something.
Yeah, it was some just like
It was Latin or something.
Yeah, something like that.
Tu fui ego iris. Yeah.
That's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, like I'm sure there's something deeper to it, but I haven't like looked into it.
Yeah. But anyway, I think like the mannequin area is especially interesting to explore, just because like it revolves around the elevator, with how you have to use the elevator to traverse through the multiple floors. This is like a 5-story building, which I thought was interesting. And like you have to use the stairs sometimes, or the elevators if the elevator don't work for that floor, or if like there's something obstructing the room you are in once you go to that floor's elevator, and then having to figure out a way to get around the obstruction. Exploration wise, I think the Mannequin Building is pretty interesting. And let's see, after that you go back to your home. I'm sure nothing bad will happen. Nothing bad will happen. And
I'm sure everything is gonna be just fine.
oh no, your dad's dead. Wait a minute. Like that's the part. Wait, is that Harry Mason?
Yep.
Gosh.
What a twist.
Yeah.
But I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like it genuinely is like, oh shit, it's fucking Harry. Oh no.
Oh
like,
wow.
It feels bad.
Yeah.
Like the first time you see that, you're like, no
way, no. And then you meet Claudia, who's at the top of the building, just saying, it's for your sake I killed him, you know? So you can come back to us as your true self. And also, I didn't kill him. I ordered this guy to kill him. And then you fight the boss fight for that. I think this is one of the harder bosses in the game.
Yeah, like deflects all your bullets, and it definitely takes some like timing. It's definitely one of the more involved bosses.
You know what's the best part about this boss? It comes back as a normal enemy in the final dungeon.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that.
And then like Claudia just said to come back to Silent Hill. And then after you kill the apparent assassin, you go back to the room and you see Douglas there. Because, well, as you expect, Heather just like lashes out at Douglas because her dad's dead. After like they don't know what to do with the body, I think. So I think they like moved him to the bed and they like put the sheets over him. And contemplating, Heather just decides to go to Silent Hill to deal with this and get revenge at Claudia for her dad. And then when they're going, Douglas had this journal to Heather, saying her dad was holding on to it. And then on the drive to Silent Hill, because like Douglas is driving Claudia because he wants to help her because he feels responsible for like
driving Heather.
Yeah, driving Heather to Silent Hill because he feels responsible for this tragedy because he found her for them. And then on the drive to Silent Hill, they basically recap Silent Hill's one story to people.
Yeah. We get Heather gives like a kind of like a long like monologue, and we kind of like help people catch up if they maybe haven't played Silent Hill 1 or haven't played it in a while.
Yeah, but like I think they do a good job of it. It doesn't feel like it's over explaining. It just kind of like gets to the point.
Yeah, definitely.
If you're already familiar, you're not gonna feel like it's a waste.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of describing how much she did love her dad through the drive. Like
there's multiple moments throughout the game where you truly feel like Heather like cares so deeply for her dad. Vincent makes kind of like an offhanded comment, like, "Oh, that Harry guy, he's so sneaky," and then she fucking loses it. She like bangs the door. She's like, "Don't talk about my dad like that." And he loses he like loses his cool, and he's like, "Whoa, chill out. I'm sorry." Like,
yeah, when even Vincent is thrown off guard, that's how you know Heather's like means business.
And then we're finally in Silent Hill. Yep. And like, you can read the journal, but you don't need to. It's totally optional. I think it is interesting to have read it if you played Silent Hill 1, because it goes through the thought process of Harry having to care for the reincarnated baby that he got from Alyssa at the end of the game.
Yeah.
Like,
I
he
definitely
wonders,
think
like contemplating like killing her.
Yeah, he wonders if he could if he's just trying to find a replacement for Cheryl, and he even contemplates if to kill her because he doesn't know what to think of it at first. But then
it definitely like puts Harry in like a different light. Like it kind of like humanizes him in a way, and shows that like he's also got his flaws, and kind of puts him in his mindset. I definitely think it was a very interesting read, especially if you played Silent Hill 1 already and are familiar with Harry as a character. Yeah,
he contemplates if he should raise her, or if he should kill her, or just abandon her. But at the end, he couldn't because he just saw her smile. He couldn't bring himself to do it, so he raised her as his own.
Yeah, because if you go just based on like what you played of Silent Hill 1, you might think like, oh, of course Harry had no problems with raising her because he's just that good of a guy. So like I do appreciate that in Silent Hill 3, they're like, no, Harry's still like a person at the end of the day. He went through something really traumatic in the first game, and having his daughter like replaced essentially with this new baby is like that wasn't easy for him to go through. You know, like that's and it shouldn't be for anyone who went through that would probably feel like similarly as Harry. So I agree. I'm glad that they took the time to like humanize him and give him that time to like, you know, show that there's more dimension to him than just the Superman like Chad dad from the first game.
Yeah.
And at the end, he still loved Heather as her own being.
Yeah, no, he still took care of her because he is still the Chad dad.
Yeah, he is still a Chad dad.
He's still father of the century, even if he had some dark thoughts a little bit. He still earns that medal.
He's still the GOAT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she goes to the hospital. Yeah, she goes to the hospital. Speaking of Silent Hill, the overworld Silent Hill is very limited and small, at least compared to 1 and 2. Like like just
but I think that's fine. I think that's fine because it's going for a more linear kind of like streamlined approach in 3.
I don't mind it, but it is noticeable if you have played for 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Like the roads don't even change at all. It's just the same road when you're going
I feel
back
like
to
they
it.
just copied and pasted.
Yeah.
Like
They just copy
model.
and pasted like some of the overworld map from 2, I think.
Yeah, they just like changed like the lighting.
Yeah, and they just put blockades on some of it, just like fences.
Right, but when you're in the hospital, you see the same like nurses that you saw in the first game, but like the growth that they had on their backs, it now looks like they popped or exploded or something. So like it's super creepy. It definitely gives the impression like, oh yeah, these are the same nurses. They've just been like skulking around here for how long? Forever how long it's been since like the first game to the third game, and they've just like deteriorated.
Strangely enough, you can go to Heaven's Night for some reason.
I do remember that. Yeah. I think you can get a couple like health drinks or something there.
Yeah,
but that's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and if you put the Konami code, Maria comes and gives Leather a lap dance.
That would be amazing.
That's a joke. That's a joke.
No, but knowing
there is like reference to Maria, I think, for like this magazine.
There's a poster. But you know what's funny though is even though that was a joke, given that this is a series where Silent Hill 2 literally says a dog is the mastermind, I wouldn't put it past Konami to have a Maria lap dance together. That is the least preposterous thing compared to some of the joke endings we've seen.
The joke endings are fucking great though.
They're
Funny
gold.
thing,
I love them.
talking about Silent Hill, there's like some Silent Hill 2 references in this game. Like the toilet ones, like, ew. Who would ever think to stick their hand in a toilet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta be a total idiot to do that.
And-
Some people theorize as well that because the reason why Douglas knows where Silent Hill is because he mentioned that he went there before on a like missing persons case. Some people theorize that he was looking for James.
Yeah.
I don't like. There's no real evidence to suggest that it has to be James. It could have been Angela. It could have been Eddie.
Yeah.
It could have been Laura. You know, it could have been someone unrelated.
I think
but
I think say he was looking for a missing man. That's why people say it might be James. But yeah, I think like that is a definite reference to Silent Hill 2 though. Like the missing person.
Yeah, I don't think it was meant to be James specifically, but I do think it was meant to be like a reference to Silent Hill 2 because a lot of people did go missing.
Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah. Speaking of, I wanted to divert a bit. Like, what do you think of the weapons in this game? Like, they give you a lot of melee weapons in this game.
I like them.
The katana is fucking sick.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how like you have various moves you can use with them. Like at least with the katana, like I only did this with the katana, but you have an actual thrust attack. If you
could do that. You could do that with the other weapons too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could do like a little and then you could do like a little charge attack. Yeah, there's a little
and
more.
And then you can block. You can like parry or block in this game too.
Yeah.
I think it's much more developed in this game, which I think is pretty interesting.
No, yeah, I like it honestly. It gives the game a little more variety. You even get like a fucking like submachine gun. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. In New Game Plus, you can get a lightsaber.
Strangely enough, you barely get any ammo for the submachine gun.
Yeah.
And then we get to the hospital, which is interesting because this is where you read about Stanley.
Coleman.
Stanley. Stanley's so creepy.
Bruh.
That made like reading those diaries made my skin crawl.
Yeah,
it was
like
so
going through like the hospital is like it feels pretty typical because it's basically just the hospital in Silent Hill 2, but like you're like why you figured out the puzzle and stuff. You also read these excerpts from a patient who strangely enough knows Heather and say he's in love with her, which it just makes you feel like you have a stalker.
Yeah, and if you like go through the staircase, for example, like you can actually hear someone like opening and closing a door, implying like that is your stalker, like skulking around. I really love this section of the game in particular, playing it as a man because like as most men, this is not like something we think about. It's not something. It's not a fear that we have, but this is like a problem that women do deal with.
Yeah.
So it puts us in her shoes and we get to feel that sense of anxiety and it makes us feel that fear that like something that we normally wouldn't go through, and it helps us empathize more and be like, oh, this is what it's like. This is fucking horrifying.
Like you really do feel like that dread when you're reading through Stanley's excerpts as he obsesses over Heather and how he thinks like he's her soulmate and asking why hasn't she accepted the doll, and like it just keeps going to deep end the more you read more diary entries.
And then some of the entries get like really vile. He's like, "Oh, Heather, I just want to rip my heart out of my chest and show it to you." And just it gets really, really disturbing. Like the more entries you go.
You remember what she says about the doll?
Oh, I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
What an ugly doll! I wouldn't touch that thing with a 10-foot pole.
I don't fucking blame her.
Yeah.
Yep. Like, even if it wasn't an ugly doll, she wouldn't want to touch it because this guy's a fucking like creeper.
And then eventually, you don't even encounter the stalker. He's already dead.
Yeah, it's such an interesting series of events, right? Like.
Yeah, it's so interesting because like you don't even need to read the diary entries, I think, to progress.
I think they're missable. Like if you don't read them in order, I think if you leave the room before you read it at all, it disappears.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
I think so.
Oh, okay.
And it makes you wonder, right? Like, is this like another like manifestation of the town?
Yeah.
Like, because it makes you think about like what is actually happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I
it's
personally consider it like a manifestation. Like that's how I
Mhm.
view it. That
Yeah.
this is that like maybe this was something that did happen to Heather.
Mhm.
That now it's manifesting here and it's like replicating something that she already went through. Or maybe this is something that happened to a friend and it's something
Mhm.
that Heather fears might happen to her, like
Mhm.
whichever it is, like it's still tapping into like a very real like fear that a lot, again, like I mentioned before, that a lot of women do suffer from. Like it's just something that they have to deal with that men normally don't. And
Yeah.
it's so fascinating how the game goes about it and
Yeah.
really gets you to feel that same sense of like dread.
Overall, I think like Stanley and the fear of you being followed and being stalked is really prevalent and done well in the first half of the hospital.
and one last mention too is like
Yeah.
the final diary entry has the doll like just all
Ripped
torn
apart,
up and,
yeah.
and dismembered, and
Yeah.
it's really a really
Yeah.
creepy and disturbing
Yeah.
ending to
It's
that
just
little-
Stanley saying like, "Oh, I'm dead. You
Mhm.
better watch out for Leonard." Like, who the heck's Leonard?
Yeah, you're like, oh, some other fucking creeper I gotta worry about.
And then like we get phone call from Leonard, and then he thinks Heather is Claudia, and he's asking her, abridging it, to come to him, and which is in another room on the second floor, I think, at the end of the hall. I think the second,
Something like that.
Yeah, and like second at the end of the hall. I didn't remember that. And then the way
Well,
you
he-
transition. Wait,
Well, real quick, he said he's wishing her happy birthday, right?
oh no,
and-
Leonard is the Claudia's father.
Right.
Yeah.
Leonard is Claudia's, right. I'm thinking
Yeah.
of a different phone call.
Different phone call.
Yeah, that was the happy
Yeah.
birthday caller is a little bit later.
And I'd say like the transition from coming to the other world in the hospital is like the most interesting transition I've seen in.
Is
Silent
that
Hill.
when you're like running through that hallway and all those doors
Yeah.
are closing
Yeah.
behind
Yeah.
you, and yeah,
Yeah. And then like
that was a really
Yeah.
creepy transition.
Yeah, I think this is where like this game has various imagery about childbirth. I think, like you even saw it in the mannequin area when you first like transition out of the bathtub. You see like this this wheelchair with a kid doll in it, and right across that is like you see this monster holding on to a child. But it gets really prevalent in the hospital when you're going through what is, I'm assuming, is like a birth canal when you're going to the other world. At least that's what I thought of it when I go through it.
Yeah, it makes sense because like Silent Hill 1 was all about like the cult was trying to get Alessa to give birth to their god.
Yeah,
And Alessa was like, I don't want to fucking do that.
yeah,
And this in Silent Hill 3, it's them trying to do it again
Yeah.
with Heather. And Heather's
and
like, I don't want to fucking do that either.
yeah. And there's like a lot of intense imagery here in Silent Hill 3, especially in the hospital. And
Which
like,
makes sense.
yeah, and when you finally get to the other world, you climb this ladder and see this like creepy ass monster dealing with valves, which is
Valtiel.
Which is called Valtiel. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
that's the
yeah.
name.
Yeah, it's Valtio.
Yeah, and then you see like this nurse in like this box, which some people say it's supposed to be Lisa or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Lisa.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
Lisa was Alessa's nurse.
Yeah.
She has a strong like connection to her.
Yeah. And then like before you even get to it, you see the video again of Lisa talking about Alessa, of questioning how she's even alive still, even despite all of her injuries. But yeah. And then we get to the Otherworld Hospital, and man, is this dungeon creepy as hell. Like the wall.
And also
know
hosts
how,
one of the...
Yeah, you know how Silent Hill is usually like this like metal, industrialized, rusty dungeon look to it. This one is so fleshy. It's so fleshy.
Feels alive.
It feels alive. Yeah. Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I think Silent Hill 3, graphically speaking, is the strongest game in the series. Like, they do so many crazy things with the visuals in this game. It is unreal. And yeah, I think the hospital is like a graphical powerhouse for the game. Like, it is such intense imagery.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like, again, it's like everything is alive and also on fire.
And then this is where you get the phone call from I'm not sure who this is called, but you get the phone call.
I don't think it's anyone like specific that they've given a name to.
Who wishes you a happy birthday?
Happy birthday, dear, who are you?
It's not my birthday.
Yeah, the thing that freaks her out is that it's not her birthday, not that someone's fucking calling her.
What is also interesting is like the numbers he references throughout his birthday speech, because those numbers correlate to how old she would be if she was still alive. Alessa, the original Alessa, how old she would be if you take account Cheryl plus Heather's age, and I think that's it, right?
Yeah, no, you got that right.
Which if you play Silent Hill 1 would probably creep you out as well. Like, how does this person know about these numbers, man? Yeah.
See, that it's situations like this where it definitely benefits to play Silent Hill 1 first. If you only play Silent Hill 3, like, I'm sure it's still like a creepy moment. You're like, what the fuck is this guy saying? I don't understand, you know? But like, if you play Silent Hill 1, you can put the dots together, and you'll be like, wait a minute.
Like I think Silent Hill 3 especially helps as a sequel. Not only for this, but also because of Harry's development. Not only in the diary, but also later on with the memos, I think.
Yeah, but like... Yeah. I think that moment where you see Harry's dead body just hits so much harder.
Yeah, it hits much harder.
The first game. If you just played Silent Hill 3 by itself, like, it's still like a sad moment, and you're like, oh, because you care about Heather. You care about how Heather
I was going to say, you feel more bad for Heather because you don't even know who the hell Harry Mason is.
Yeah, but it for you as the player, it hurts like twice as much because you feel bad for Heather, and you're also like, fuck, man, that was my boy in the first game. 1-2 punch of the feels.
Yeah. Because I played Silent Hill 3 for the first time all the way through when I was in high school, and I just didn't do my research to understand that it was a sequel to 1. Yeah. So I was that guy where I played it not knowing who Harry Mason was. So it's kind of like, I wish I could go back in time and just kick myself and be like, yo, dude, play Silent Hill 1 first. But it's still pretty interesting in retrospect, like playing Silent Hill 1 like now, and then playing 3, and then understanding the context.
For sure.
Oh yeah, this is the hospital is where you get the mirror room.
Oh yeah, I was about to say that. This is easily one of the scariest moments in the Silent Hill series. Period, by far.
It's just an iconic like horror like moment in general. It's so well done.
Like, you go into this room, you don't see anything of it. You see, what the heck? Everything's going black suddenly. You try to go out of the door. It doesn't open.
The door's locked.
Yeah. The door's locked. You don't know what to do. Until like you try every angle, everything goes pitch black, and like if you don't exit the room in time, you die, right?
Yeah.
If you stay there for too long, you do die.
Yeah. So
and if you stay long enough, then the image in the mirror just stays still. When you move Heather.
Yeah. When the image stays still in the mirror, that's when you're supposed to exit, I think.
Yeah. Yes.
I was freaking out, but my friend was also freaking out because he didn't remember how to exit the door. Like, oh my god! Like, he just like keep exiting the door, keep exiting the door. It won't open. But yeah,
it's an iconic moment, and more than just being like, oh man, that's so cool and spooky, but like, it ties back to what I was saying before. We're in the beginning of the game when she's looking at the mirror. She's like. She's talking about like how she feels like the person in the mirror is not like an imposter, and that same fear and insecurity cycles back here, and it manifests itself in this moment. And I think it also kind of speaks to the duality between Heather and Alessa.
Yeah, Alessa.
You know, like she's not as cognizant of it in that moment, but it is something she's like subconsciously aware of, and it is like part of her trauma that's again manifesting in that moment.
And then at the end of the dungeon, you meet Leonard, which is just a monster. He thinks you're trying to steal his seal, a Metatron, which is a throwback to the first game. He's a pretty easy boss, naturally, so there's not much to him.
Yeah, he wasn't that hard. Although it's funny because right before that boss fight, that is easy. Heather has one of my favorite lines in the game where she rolls her eyes and she's like, "Is every person here a nutcase?" And then she fucking smiles and she's like, "I guess you're not a person anyway." I'm like, dude, she has no fear. She has no fear. I love it.
She's just done with the cult shit. Like,
yeah, it's like before we were talking about the bathtub part. Like at this point, she's just like she's more like annoyed than anything else than scared.
Yeah.
Which I think is great.
After you kill him, you go back to the regular Silent Hill world, I guess. And then when you exit the dungeon, you get a cutscene between Vincent and Claudia.
Yeah, and that was an interesting scene because honestly, that actually ends up painting Claudia in a little bit more of a sympathetic light when you kind of hear what happened to her as a child. Yeah. Like she honestly feels. She definitely mirrors Dhalia Gillespie from the first game in a way, in the sense that as her role in in the cult, but she definitely feels more humanized.
Like it feels like Dhalia feels she's just in it for the power, or like why Claudia feels like she does feel like giving the birth to the god of the cult will actually make the world a better place, even if it requires some sacrifices.
But like Claudia genuinely wants what's best, what she believes is what's best, whereas Dhalia was like wahahaha, I want everything to turn to darkness, that kind of.
You get to the part in the beginning, in the premonition, because after that you go to the amusement park. After talking to Vincent. Definitely one of the creepiest, if not the creepiest area in Silent Hill 3, in my opinion. If you try to go for the roller coaster like you did this in the dream, you die the same way. So yeah, you have to find like the key in order to open the terminal and turn off the roller coaster. And then you go into the fun house. I think that's what it is, right?
Oh, yeah, I love the fun house.
I love this area.
Yeah, it's a neat little area. You know when the ceiling is coming down on you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that can kill you if you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time, right?
It can kill you in hard mode if you don't duck.
I didn't know you could duck, honestly.
The way you're supposed to duck is to be in the, you know how you have to go to a stance when you're firing a weapon or readying a weapon? That's how you duck, apparently.
Oh, okay. I guess I could see how that could be considered ducking.
Which is weird. You know.
Kind of weird, like how would you know to do that?
Yeah. You see cutscene with Douglas confronting Claudia. And just saying that Heather was happy where she is. Like she didn't need to deal with all this shit. Then he's going to try to deal with Claudia. But that didn't happen since he got injured by Claudia, but he's not dead. And then you got this really touching scene between Heather and Douglas. Again, when you see when the two encountered in the amusement park, with him talking about her with his son, how he sort of reminds me her of him, even though they're not too similar. And overall, I think it's a good scene between them.
Yeah, very. I like that that Heather and Douglas form kind of a genuine bond as the game goes on. I thought it was very nice.
Yeah, it's obviously it starts antagonistic because Heather doesn't want anything to do with this guy, and it's nice that eventually she learns to trust him.
Eventually, you go through the amusement park where you fight her shadow.
Shadow. Yeah.
I am the shadow, the true self.
The true self.
And like you go for 4 phases of her, right?
Yeah, something like that. Like each with like a different weapon she's using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
This was a really great moment because like, not just from a story perspective, but also like I just love the how the carousel is like. If you look, it's actually like descending. Like it looks like it's almost like going down, like you're going down to like hell almost. And also the way the horses like move their heads, like they twitch their, and they're actually like alive apparently. It was just a very effective moment. I love that boss fight.
And then you fight a lot.
I also love how like Heather, like after the fight, says something about like, you know, I know we're supposed to be the same person, but really, I don't think we're alike at all. Like
Yeah, like acknowledging that they're two individuals.
Yeah.
Yeah, Heather has grown into her own person, and she doesn't really agree with what Alessa wants.
And then we get to the final dungeon, which is a church. Which is interesting because I think it's hinted that this church area is more Claudia's manifestation rather than Alyssa's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Heather obviously never grew up in the church.
Yeah. And then, like, I think the interesting part near the beginning of the final dungeon is you get this confession booth.
Yeah, that one's interesting.
Yeah. Apparently, the person who's trying to confess is supposed to be Dhalia. Apparently, at least that's what I've heard from my friend.
I don't know that specifically.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting theory.
But I think like you forgiving her or not has impact if you get like the extra ending, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it adds like points to your ranking in a playthrough, and it could it'll change the ending on a New Game Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can only get the one ending on your first playthrough.
You meet Vincent again, and this is where he says the funny line. You think they look like monsters to you?
Yeah.
It's just a joke.
It's just a joke.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people took that as like Vincent saying like, oh, he's letting the truth slip. I took it less that, and I took it more like in the beginning of the conversation, like he knew that like what he's saying wasn't like getting to under Heather's skin the way he wanted to. Like he was losing power in the discussion. So I feel like he said that just as a way to like to get back at her and to just kind of like unsettle her.
I agree.
I don't think it really means anything.
Yeah, I mean, it could definitely, like, when it came out at first, I definitely think it led to some interesting discussions, but I don't think, like, it was, that Vincent was being, like, literal with what he was saying.
Anyway, this Final Dungeon is where you learn more about Claudia's upbringing and stuff, and how, like, she was actually really close to Alessa herself, how they, like, grew up essentially as sisters. And I think this area and learning about Claudia does a good job of trying to understand Claudia more and see why she would want the birth of the god, at least compared to Dhalia, the motivations.
Yeah, because Claudia was indoctrinated by the church her entire life, so this is all that she knows. She feels like this is something that she has to do.
And I think it's especially interesting of how the map of this area is like a child's drawing.
So that was actually literally drawn by a child.
Yeah.
Like that was done by one of the developers. Like,
oh, okay.
Oh, that's what you meant when you said literally drawn by a child. Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which can get you also like an interesting insight into Claudia as a character too, I think.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, as I definitely think they kind of they do a good job of humanizing Claudia as opposed to like Dhalia. Like Claudia is definitely a lot more of a tragic character, honestly.
And then like I think going for this dungeon was really intense, especially near the end where like each room is getting consumed by these dark spots that consumes the room, and I would assume you would die if you stayed in there too long.
Yeah, I mean, I never tried, but I would imagine that's probably.
I would imagine, like it's like the mirror room, I think. And then you get to the final boss fight, where like I think the game tried to red hair you with the seal Metatron, because like you see Vincent saying it's this important item to you beforehand, and like
and then Claudia's just like, no, that's just a piece of junk.
Yeah, and then like you see them arguing, and then which eventually gets her to stab him, and then you're left with, what am I supposed to do now? You're not supposed to use the seal Metatron. I think it's a red herring, not only because Vincent said it's important, but also because that's what Alessa did in the first game too, if you played the Silent Hill one. So like, so you think the seal Metatron is important, but it's a red herring. It's because you're supposed to use the locket, which has the red goo, expel the fetus from her, which is what they were trying to birth, the god. Which is interesting, because like, even if you don't do that, like, you just got game over. You don't have an actual bad end for this decision, I think.
Yeah, it just takes you right to the game over screen as far as I remember.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting if you got like a unique ending for it.
And then like,
and then this ends up leading to one of the most like memorable, disturbing scenes.
Yeah, Claudia sees the god fetus essentially, and then tries to eat it to be able to birth it herself, which leads to a very disturbing cutscene, you know. And then you basically fight the final boss, and Heather says the funniest line I think in the game before fighting the final boss. Like she says, "You can't be dead. I'm supposed to kill you." And yeah, you fight the final boss. I think what's interesting about final boss is like, at least for New Game Plus, if you beat it with a melee weapon, you get the saber, I think. Lightsaber, or something like that. Because I think you're supposed to kill it with a melee weapon in order to get that. Yeah. At least that's what my friend said, so I'm not sure, you know. Anyway, after she kills Claudia, you get to the scene where Heather finally gets her revenge, but she's still sad because Dad is still dead. So, you know. And then afterwards, it cuts to Douglas, and then it seems like Heather is going to kill Douglas until she doesn't. It's just a joke, man. It's just a joke. Calm down, bro. It's just a prank. And I think this is an interesting point to her character, because like in the other ending, she does kill Douglas. In the alternate ending you can get in New Game Plus, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't know what to make of it, really.
I think it's interesting because like Heather, for all intents and purposes, is just a normal everyday girl, right? Who's thrust into this situation because of her origin. And I think overall, like, you're wondering if she'll still be her own person at the end of it, after taking revenge. If she's still going to be the same person that Avery raised. And in the first ending, she does. She's still the same person. She's still Cheryl Mason at the end of it all, and not like a monster, you know. And I think that makes her development really incredibly strong when you get through to the game. And I think it's especially cool when she says, "Use my real name," and they're like, "Cheryl Mason." Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And like overall,
she feels like she can finally be herself. She doesn't have to hide behind. You know, she doesn't have to run away from the cult anymore. She can just like live her life after that point.
Yeah, overall, I think the story is really strong in this game.
Yes.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Like, imagery strong. Heather's journey is incredibly engrossing, especially when you're wondering if Heather can still be the same person that she is at the end of it, even though she is also Alessa in a sense. And
she's kind of wrestling with that duality.
Yeah.
But like, you know, she what I do like about her, like accepting that she's Cheryl, is like she's both accepting that, like, yeah, she is this other person,
Yeah.
but she is her own. But she can do that, but still be her own person as
Yeah,
well.
she isn't consumed by her past or by the cult at the end.
Yeah.
At least at the first end, which I think is a canon ending anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's, as far as I'm concerned, that is the canon ending.
Yeah.
I don't see why, if they ever decide to continue it, they would use the other ending.
Yeah. Overall, I think I like Silent Hill 3 as much as I do 2, even though it does its horror differently.
Yeah.
I think 2's horror is more depressing, while 3 is more visceral. It's more in your face, but it still retains a lot of the like subtle elements of 2. I would basically describe 3 as like a combination of 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about this. I especially think Silent Hill 3 does a great job as a sequel. Not only through seeing Harry's body, reading his journal, how Heather's characterization development is based upon the foundation of Silent Hill 1. Seeing several hints of Silent Hill 1 being plastered on here. Also especially like how you can read the memos from Silent Hill 1 and Silent Hill 3 and read his thought process that Harry had when he was going through that game. Because I think there's two instances of that, right? In the amusement park and in the final room, right?
Yeah.
I think it's especially cool to read those thoughts.
Yeah, because it actually like recontextualizes what Harry was doing when you were saving the game in SH1. He wasn't, it wasn't just a save feature. He was like jotting down how he felt, because Harry's a writer.
Yeah.
So like it would make sense, like in Silent Hill 1, that for him to like try and make sense out of what was going on, he would like write stuff down.
Overall, I think this is Silent Hill 3. I think it's a great game.
Yeah. I think the story of 2, I think, at least for me personally, hits a little bit harder. But the story of 3 is still fantastic. And even outside of the story, looks fantastic. Great atmosphere. It's fun to play. I love the variety of weapons, the variety of monsters. The linear nature, I think, actually works in the game's favor. It keeps the game feeling like a roller coaster. You're always like go 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 go. There's not a lot of downtime. Like the game is all killer, no filler.
Yeah. And honestly, I think Silent Hill 3 is kind of a victim in the sense that since it came after 2, it kind of lives in 2's shadow. Like I feel like it is a very well beloved game in general by the fan base, but I feel like because it came after 2, it definitely kind of had these lofty expectations, and people don't talk about it nearly as much as people do with Silent Hill 2. But I think that if you really sit down and play the game, especially after 1, it's definitely a very memorable experience. Like if we're talking, like I remember, so we're talking about like with the visuals, honestly I think Silent Hill 3 looks better than some PS3 games that I've played. Like that's how strong the visuals are, the visual quality. And I definitely think one of Silent Hill 3's strongest aspects is its audio, because I think 3 has the best like incarnation of like the industrial sound effects, giving the monsters kind of distinct sounds. And like there was this I don't know if it was a playlist, but I saw some YouTube videos that I strongly recommend checking out. It was literally called The Sounds of Silent Hill 3, and there's different videos of each dungeon in the game that will have unique like sounds for certain areas of the dungeons. I definitely recommend checking them out, because it kind of does a good job of showcasing just how strong the audio in Silent Hill 3 is and how much it unsettles you. So like I don't really have much else to add about the game, but overall I love it. I think it's an amazing game. I also love it as much as 2, and I can't help but love it, and I'll play it again sometime.
Great characters. We talked about Claudia before, but I think she's like the better antagonist compared to Dhalia.
Oh, definitely better than Dhalia.
I especially 100%. Like how at the end with her not her final conversation, like the conversation when Heather goes into the church. No, no, that is the final confrontation where she does want the birth of the god, but she also sees herself as a sinner, not deserving to be in paradise. Because when you get down to it, Claudia does feel like what she is doing is right, even if she knows that she's doing incredibly wrong things in order to achieve it.
Yeah, and her design, Claudia's design, is fucking impeccable. Like the clothing that she wears, like the long like white hair, her pale skin, the fact that she has no eyebrows, like it makes her super unsettling to look at. Like you feel like you can't get a good read on what her emotions are. Like just top tier design. They were fucking cooking with that.
And also, I also love Vincent's design, like that grin of his. Also, if you look closely, he also has like, maybe it's just me, but he has like yellow teeth, like almost as if like they're like decaying. Like it's just little things that like really get into your skin.
You know what I thought of when I saw his design? Evil Otacon from
That's pretty good.
What if Otacon is a scumbag?
Yeah, because I feel like Vincent didn't really care about the religion of the cult or anything. Like, you know, like he's talking about like, oh, I know about all the pleasures of this world, you know? Like, it sounds to me like he was just using the position and the power so he can like have money and women and shit like that. He's just a real slime ball. Kind of similar, like, especially narratively speaking, I think he fulfills like a similar role as Kaufman, but like it's just a more effective character.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it has a good cast of antagonists, especially compared to 1, which is probably not fair since I do like 1, but you know.
No, 1 is great, but like it.
Like 3 just elevates it, I think.
I mean, 3 is like a direct sequel of sorts. Yeah. And it really does. You see a lot of the parallels, and it did really feel like.
Yeah, I think I think Silent Hill 3 does do a great job as a direct sequel to 1. I think, which is good.
100%. Yeah.
I heard people don't like Silent Hill 3 just because it has to deal with the cult. So I don't know.
Like there was a long time where it felt like there was a lot of anti-cult sentiment in the fan base. I feel like that's died down. I don't see nearly as many people complaining about the cult as much, which is good because I feel like I always felt like that was a weird thing to bitch about. It's like I don't know. I feel like it makes sense that there would be a cult. Like the whole point is that like Silent Hill, the town, has this like otherworldly sort of presence or whatever. I think that's why Alessa has like strange powers, is because she was born in Silent Hill, and Silent Hill just has this like supernatural essence to it. Why wouldn't there be a cult for something like that?
And it's funny because like that's the mainstay for the series as a whole. Like Silent Hill 2 was the outlier in how it handled like the lore of Silent Hill. Most of the other games do deal with the cult.
I don't get the complaint just because I think Silent Hill 3 does a great job with the foundation of 1, which did revolve around the cult. So, you know, if it's done this well.
I think the complaint just comes from a lot of people who started with 2.
Okay.
So they play 2 and they think that Silent Hill is all about like following the like one character and seeing their fucked up personal journey. So when they play the other games and realize that there's a cult, they're like, what the fuck, this is not what I wanted.
Okay.
I want more Silent Hill 2. Which I think is not fair because like that's still 3. 3 is Heather's personal journey. A lot of what you see are manifestations born from Heather. You know, you do make a very good point that at the end, the area that we see is probably more so Claudia's, but like most of the game is still like
a manifestation of Heather's and Alyssa's.
The 2 of them, like their fears and their anxieties, the fact that the trauma of the cult trying to force them to impregnate and give birth to like their fucked up god or whatever. Like that's why there's so much like imagery relating to that. It's still there. It's still all there. All the stuff that these people loved about Silent Hill 2 is still there, but like it's just now facilitated through the cult. Which I agree. I don't see why that's such a problem. But again, I don't really see people complaining about the cult as much nowadays.
Okay.
This was more of like a complaint that I heard like 10 years ago.
Okay. I was just talking to my friend with that, and he said there was people who don't like the cult before.
Yeah, there was a good amount of discourse for a while, but like Daniel said, it definitely has at least died down, which is good.
Overall,
I feel like there's much more just general appreciation for the original 4, particularly first 3 games. Just people in general just going like, those 3 games fucking rule, as they should say that, because they do fucking rule. And 4 is pretty good too, even though it's not as good.
But overall, Silent Hill 1 and 3, they're really good, and I think people should play them.
They're horror masterpieces.
Yeah.
They're fucking phenomenal games.
They're perfect.
2 decades old. They're so good.
They're perfect examples of like why the series is so relevant and why for many years we've had to deal with like these, to put it lightly, hit or miss Western releases, and yet people are still clamoring on to like kind of like reliving the golden days of Silent Hill. Like people to this day are still being like, come on, we want the original 3 games, like that level of quality. So that shows you just how impactful the original games were, like on the horror genre as a whole.
Saying it was hit or miss is putting it very nicely, because most of them were bad. Homecoming sucked. Downpour sucked. Origins mid at best. Book of Memories fucking terrible. The only Western made Silent Hill game I think is worth playing is Shattered Memories.
Oh yeah, I heard that one. It's more like a reimagining of Silent Hill 1, right?
Pretty much, but it's so like disconnected from the first one. Like it might as well not even it might as well have nothing to do with Silent Hill 1. It's pretty much its own thing. I think that's actually one of its weaknesses. I think it would have been stronger if it ended up being its own thing that had nothing to do with Silent Hill.
That was a Konami mandate, right? That'd be a reimagining of one.
It was less of a mandate, and it was more like that was how the team was able to get the game made at all.
Oh, okay.
Because they had like an idea to make it like its own thing at first, but Konami wasn't like the upper management wasn't biting, and then when they instead sold it to them as, well, what if it's like a remake of the first game? Then that's when they were like, oh yeah, let's do that.
And if we're also talking Western Silent Hill games not being very good, is Short Message was also not very good.
That was not Western made.
Oh, wasn't?
That was in-house. Konami.
Was it? Oh, huh. Interesting.
Yeah, I thought Short Message was a mixed bag.
I think it had its heart in the right place, but it
definitely had its heart in the right place. But man, that final chase sequence in particular soured me on the game a lot, like because it was just really annoying.
Oh my god, I ended up having to use a walkthrough to be like, all right, what is the best route to get these?
Me too. And I think that's what's going to keep me from like ever replaying it. Is just that final chase sequence was just so annoying.
Yeah.
And then there's the streaming one, and you know how good that is.
Oh, what was that called? Ascension?
Yeah, Silent Hill Ascension. I implore everyone to watch Super Eye Patch Wolf's streams of that game. Calling it a game is very generous. It's not really much of a game. But just watch his streams of it, because you don't want to actually pay any money to see it. He streams the entire thing, and it is, calling it a train wreck would be a compliment. Like, you have no idea how catastrophically bad it is. It is not just the worst piece of like Silent Hill thing to exist. It's one of the worst things I've ever seen, period. Like it is like if Tommy Wiseau directed a Silent Hill miniseries.
If anything, that honestly sounds kind of tempting. I definitely might watch that stream, honestly.
Most of it is honestly really boring, and then you will get like pockets of like complete insanity that makes you go like, what is this? What am I watching? So
It honestly almost sounds like it was like a joke project, like low key.
Yeah.
it is certainly a joke.
Yeah. At the very least.
Yeah, but not the way they intended, clearly.
At the very least, you can spec an interesting time if you play for Silent Hill 1 and 3. Because we think those are great games.
It's very, very, very memorable, worth playing.
Yeah.
100%.
Next time we do this, you should play Silent Hill 4. And if you wanna play another Silent Hill game, just do Shattered Memories and I guess the Silent Hill 2 remake as well, because that's also really good.
Oh yeah.
And that's it. There's no other Silent Hill games.
Yeah, they don't exist. They do not exist.
Yeah, I was thinking of either playing for Silent Hill 4 or playing for Resident Evil, maybe.
That being said, they are coming out with 2 more Silent Hill games, Silent Hill F and Townfall. So let's see how those 2 turn out, I guess.
Yeah.
F has me really interested, like having Silent Hill games.
F looks cool.
Yeah.
The little that we saw about it looks pretty interesting.
I think that's all. Thank you for being with me on this, Swordfish and Daniel.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And that's all for this video. Thank you.